Well, it's that time of the month for me, so I always struggle with increased like cravings and have a larger appetite.
Oh, okay, sure. All right. Well, I mean, every woman handles, that time of the month differently, and that's pretty natural for, for different sort of responses in the body as far as food and that sort of thing goes. I think that it can also be changed over time as well. So, um, last week we spoke about body image, and we went through how you're feeling about when you're walking through the mall. And how have you been going as far as body image goes over the last week since we spoke?
I think it's a bit healthier. I haven't actually been to the city, so I haven't been in the situation of being in the mall, but I have been in the local stores, and it hasn't been affecting me as much.
Okay, so when you say it hasn't been affecting you as much, what are you referring to, like as much? So what part of it is affecting you versus what wasn't before?
I'm still having a little bit of difficulty with full-length mirrors, like looking directly at my reflection, at the size of my figure. But it, I have less anxiety about going to the stores and about seeing myself, seeing my reflection.
Okay, great. Less anxiety about seeing. So that's like so you're not looking towards the future, or when you do, it's not affecting you in the way that it used to.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Great improvement. Anxiety and fear are in fact linked in that they are in fact the same, in my opinion. I think that anxiety and fear are really just our projections of the future. We begin concentrating on thoughts of the future, and that is what tends to create those feelings of anxiety and fear in people. So you've been able to adjust the way that you're thinking about the future, and your future self, and the way that you may look in the mirrors. And that's pretty cool. That's a really good place to start. So as far as your behavior goes towards your body image now, what is it like? Like what are you challenged with at the moment?
I'm still having a little bit of negative body image self-talk. I have done a pretty good job of containing it and replacing it with positive self-talk when I catch myself doing it, but still it is naturally popping up.
Yeah, sure thing. I always call them, habits of thought or habitual ways of thinking, and that some of these habits can be broken straight away, and other ones are just a real conscious decision. Although our personality may change, and we may have adjustments based on some of the coaching that we've been through already, you may have found that your responses to certain things have changed, and some of your everyday living and your decisions are changing or have changed. And some of that self-talk, I mean, I think that having a completely positive self-talk about anything in life is kind of one-sided, and it's a very unrealistic expectation, because in life there is the positive, there is the negative. It's up to us to, think about these things in our minds as positive or negative, and to make the adjustments in our self-talk on a day-to-day basis. It's just that the more we practice that positive self-talk, the more we hear it, the more we reason with it, as opposed to the negative. So I think what you're sharing there is it's pretty indicative that you've had some pretty cool changes already, and that it's just a matter of continuing on that process of being aware of the negative self-talk and adjusting it and focusing on the positive.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good.
All right. So, um, the as far as the negative self-talk, is there anything else going on with your body image that's affecting you right now?
Well, my body is a lot larger than I'd like it to be. But I think that's something that I'm gonna have to adjust slowly over time with like conscious mindful eating and moderate exercise. So I'm not sure I'm not sure if that's something that I can change in the moment. And then the negative self talk, and I think that's about it.
Okay, sure. So being mindful of your eating and moderate exercise and being aware of your self-talk. I mean, that's pretty cool. I'm glad that you've created an awareness around those three key areas. So the negative self-talk, that's going to improve over time. That's really that's conscious thinking. So self-talk is our conscious mind reasoning with the unconscious. So, and if you have future goals in mind, which we discussed last week with you wanting to be a size 8 or a size around that, and that you were wanting, the body that you're in right now isn't exactly your ideal health-wise. So you're going to have some self-talk. It's really a given because you're in a transitional phase, and so your mind is constantly, you've got goal ideas of where you would like to take your health, and then your mind is also aware that you're not there yet. I mean, if your mind already thought you were there at your goal weight and at your goal in terms of health, then wow. I was going to say delusional, but we're all delusional. We all kind of listen to our own little delusions and illusions and dreams and stuff like that in our head. But that aside, if you did think that you were a size 8 and you were currently a size 16, then you wouldn't be seeing your body the way it actually is. So knowing where you're at and knowing where you want to be is a pretty healthy way to achieving goals. It's just that what happens is when people set a goal, usually their mind, as soon as they set the goal, starts doing things like, starts creating the negative self-talk around what they can and cannot do. And then they actually listen to that and it just derails them altogether. Whereas somebody who has more of a realistic, balanced outlook will set the goal, see some challenges and begin to chunk them down into bite-sized pieces. So, okay, I want to moderately eat. So moderately eating means this to me. And so I'm going to focus on this moderate eating. Perhaps you've been through, I know that you've got my book, so you're probably already aware of the idea of real food. So maybe the idea of, all right, well, I'm going to be eating more real food, and each meal I'm going to try get in more real food each meal. And so that's kind of like chunking it down meal by meal, and then you can go, all right, well, bite by bite. I'm getting healthier and healthier bite by bite. And there's no, I mean, as far as the way that I approach the eating side from my book, I don't, subscribe to any particular ideas other than just, if you want to have something that's outside of the real food box, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just keeping that balance. So that's I guess as far as goal setting goes, chunking down the process of reaching a goal, which really which does come down to the moderate mindful eating and the moderate exercise, over exercise or under exercise. And if you were to, let's say that as far as the exercise goes, you're going to work with someone who was going to actually just monitor your level of exercise. Maybe that's just an accountability person online. Maybe it's a coach who already knows what they're doing in that field, or maybe it's someone one-on-one in person that's just already aware of your past history, but that's actually moderating you so that, they're like, okay, well, here's how many days per week is valuable for you to exercise for health, and your body will adjust itself accordingly. And they're just monitoring you to make sure that you're kind of, doing that amount of exercise just to stay in a balanced place. And that's also a normal part of the goal setting process. So it is natural for what you're speaking there about moderate exercise, mindful eating, and the self-talk is completely, I would say, balanced to know that you do have some negative self-talk around the body when you see it because you have goals. And so you recognize where you are, but you realize that's not where you'll always be. And so the goal at hand is where you're moving towards, and you're chunking that down bite by bite. Does that kind of help give you a brief overview of what's kind of going on, or do you have anything to add to that, Jenna?
That sounds exactly where I should be, actually, and I definitely have to be eating more food. I was thinking about that today, and uh, and definitely I've got to start replacing some of those food choices, and then definitely being accountable for my exercising would benefit me. So I should look into that some more for sure. So that sounds bang on.
All right. So when you say should be more mindful of some of the foods that you're eating, um, what is stopping you from being more mindful of your eating? Is there anything in the way of that right now, or is it more an awareness thing?
It really is just convenience, like certain things are more convenient to prepare because I know my young kids will eat them or, time constraints and stuff. But I do like vegetables a lot and I do like fruit a lot and I do like whole foods and natural foods. And I just have to be more focused, I guess, when I'm in the grocery store on purchasing those type of foods, so that's what I have to select from when I prepare my meals.
Okay, great. So some of it comes down to preparation. And in my book, the Breaking My Body Image book that you've got, there's actually a section on preparation. And then there's also down at the back of the book, there's also an index section which goes into a list of real foods or whole foods. So maybe printing out that list will be useful just as a basic guideline. I mean, it's a pretty simple list of different foods, but it's just categories of just real foods. It doesn't mean that's the only real foods that exist, or that if they're not on that list, then they're not acceptable. That's just a basic guideline of some good real food. So maybe that'll be useful for you to check in on that.
Yeah, that sounds like an excellent plan. I'll do that before I go shopping tomorrow because I do have to do some I do my weekly shopping usually on Sundays, but I didn't get around to it today because of the weather. We are still in extreme snow here. So tomorrow for sure I'll print that list before I head to the supermarket.
Okay, really good, really good. I was just going, ooh, cold snow. I remember last time I was in snow, it was bloody cold. So, okay. Now, let me just revise because I like to come back and make sure that we're being clear on our outcomes. So when we first caught up, you said you want to be mindful of eating, you want to be accepting of your body, and you want to be moving towards a healthier body. You mentioned that you want to have peace and security inside you. How do you feel you're going with those outcomes? Since now we're on call 4, how has the coaching calls helped you so far? And what do you feel as though there is anything else, any particular areas or anything that's popping out for you that are limiting you or stopping you from reaching that? Or have you already reached a happy level of that outcome?
I think I'm doing really good on that outcome. I am actively being more mindful, which was my main goal. So I'm feeling good there, and um, I I guess just old habits, convenience, and not maybe pushing myself hard enough are the only fallbacks I'm having right now.
Okay, sure. When you and just to revisit, you mentioned that you wanted some peace and security inside you. How do you feel about that now?
I feel more peaceful and I feel more secure. You know, I'm fully aware of the changes I want to make that they're they're going to have to take some time, and I'm feeling pretty secure about that. I think expecting to find complete peace and security was a pretty broad to have said at the beginning. um, so uh, I'm feeling like I'm doing pretty good with it.
Awesome, Jenna. Great. I mean, I think you're doing really good, for one. Yeah, peace. peace is one of those really abstract, really high, kind of big picture words like happiness. That, so and they're very fluid as well, in that happiness refers to a state. In NLP, we refer to states as states of being that are fluid at any moment, and that a lot of people are trying to live a happy life and to create a happy life when they're missing the happy moments that are occurring in their life now. And so most people are so busy trying to create a happy life that they miss the happy moments. And the happy moments are in fact created by us at any moment in time now. So peace is a lot like that, I believe, in my opinion. And that's the way that we focus in NLP, and that, you know, we've been able to instill states in you, Jenna, and to create states and feelings inside you very quickly, just from merely focusing on a time when you felt really good. And then we're simply enlarging that, making it bigger, making it stronger, making the feelings more intense. So you can think of, all right, well, you know, do I have a happy life? Well, sometimes even answering that question, or do I have a peaceful life? Answering that question is sometimes as dependent on the state that you're in when you ask it. So if you're let's say, for example, you're somehow in a lousy mood, and you go, is my life good right now? And your mind might come back with like, well, I don't feel very good right now, so, you know, not so good. But if, let's say, you know, you're playing with the kids, or you've just got off a call and you're feeling really good, on top of the world, and you're like, yes, you know, I'm doing great, then, you know, you may feel really happy. Hey, just one moment, Jenna. I just got to grab something.
Okay.
Awesome, Jenna, cool. So thanks for that. So does that sort of make sense? Where, you know, depending on the state we're in, depends on our brain's response to us on whether we're actually having a happy or peaceful life or not?
Yeah, I can totally understand that. And I think that's why I'm having a little bit of a hard time when we're talking about like where we still need to work, is that lately I've been really in a positive state, and I've been really healing focused and recovery focused, and it's been hard for me to be shaken from that. And I've been sleeping so much better since one of our first NLP hypnosis calls. So I'm just in a complete different state than I was even looking back just a month ago when we started this off. So definitely I can value that peace and happiness are something that it can be like in the moment and are going to affect how you feel about them at that time.
Okay, brilliant. All right, and you mentioned that, I think we can leave what we just shared there. I think we can just leave that at that for now. Then there's eating, and you mentioned, as far as your eating goes, having healthy habits. Healthy habits. You know what? Healthy habits are something that are developed over time, a lot like our positive thinking habits. We make these initial powerful changes initially, like we have on the previous calls, and then what happens is your unconscious mind begins to take over and start making new conscious decisions, and then every day and every week and every month, these decisions are kind of just reshaping your life, and they just slowly reshape your decisions towards eating, towards exercise, towards the way you're thinking about all these things. Healthy habits, I mean, everyone has a different opinion of what is a healthy habit. when I wrote my book, Breaking My Body Image, which you're reading at the moment, is I wrote that with the intention of not having a really biased perspective towards health and wellness. I wrote that as a pretty big picture, almost abstract way of creating an outlook towards health. Because you have, for example, in my almost 10 years now in the health, wellness, fitness, coaching industry, I've come across a lot of, quote, experts, and a lot of them preach their own way is the best way. And, and I would, in my early days, I would meet someone who was an expert and I'd be like, wow, this person's got it all together. They're so totally certain. They're confident. Their belief is like, bang. They're right on as far as what they believe in health, and they're like, this is the way, this is the pinnacle, this is the fountain of youth, this is what keeps you happy, this is what keeps you healthy. And so I would take on their beliefs and their ideas and their thoughts and their approaches and their attitudes towards eating and health and exercise and being mindful and these things. And what I discovered over time was that I would take on these beliefs of one guru or expert, and then 6 months later I would meet another guru expert who had equally as good results. Maybe they were in great health, maybe they had their body in a healthy shape or a healthy way. Their mind seemed to be all together. They seemed like they had it all together. They were confident. They were certain. You're seeing the similarities here now. And so I would meet these people again. I'd meet this new person, and they would say, this way is the best way. This way is the pinnacle for health, for body, for vitality, energy, strength. And I would be like, wow, this guy's got it all together. And so what would I do? I would continue on. I would change my attitude, change my beliefs. I would change my thoughts towards food in these areas. And so literally I would go from, trying out or working towards these different ways of living. And the funny thing is that both people in this example, you got the same results. So I think you're out at the moment. Can you hear me okay? Not sure if you can hear me. I think you might have dropped off for a second there. Okay, cool. Can you just let me know that you can hear me okay on this call? Technology, I love it when it works, not so much when it doesn't. Okay. I can't hear you there, Jenna. Maybe try logging out and logging back in if you can. Hello.
Hello.
Cool. Okay,
Hello.
I can hear you.
I can hear you too.
Okay, great. Well, that was a little intermittent couple of minute break there for us. So where did I leave off there?
I just finished saying how I think I have a pretty well-rounded look at balanced eating and healthy eating.
Okay, cool. Good, good. Was I? Did you hear the part where I was talking about the different kind of gurus or experts that I come across?
No, actually, it stopped when you had said people have different ideas about healthy, balanced eating. So I thought that was an indication for me to start talking about my healthy, balanced eating, or like what I know, like if I know how to do it. So I totally missed everything on the gurus.
Okay, cool. Well, um, okay. Well, in a nutshell, I mean, actually, you can probably just listen to the recording of this. But in a nutshell, when I was much younger, I mean, I've been in the health, wellness, and coaching industry now for almost 10 years. And back when I was much younger, when I first started out, I would meet a guru or an expert, and I'd be like, "Wow, this guy is, preaching that their way is the best, and the pinnacle of health and wellness, and all this." And I would kind of adopt their attitudes and their approach to eating and exercise. And then I would meet someone else 6 months later, and they'd be saying the same thing, but they'd have a different approach. And so, there's people on one side of the planet that say, you shouldn't eat meat, you should be all plant-based, animal foods, or, they call them dead foods. And, they say, oh, stay away from those foods because they're not healthy and they're bad for the environment and blah, blah, blah. And then over the other side of on the other side of the planet, you got the other people that are saying, you know what, you should only eat, you should eat high meat, lots of salads, and if you don't eat meat, then you're not getting these essential factors and blah blah blah. So there's people on both sides of the spectrum. But when I look at people who are 80 or 90 years old, and I look at what they've been doing for their life, and I really listen and get a grasp for what they've been doing. The funny thing is that some of them, like each of them, are both just as healthy in some cases. So when we say eating and establishing healthy habits, I think that that's a very individual, and that only we can make the decisions for our own health, and wellness. If that makes sense, Jenna.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good to me. Because like you, I've tried every fad and every which way about eating, been vegetarian, been pesco-vegetarian, been on Atkins, and I've seen success to an extent on every different platform of eating, but nothing was really term attainable because you need to actually have something that's more genuinely balanced and allows you to not be so rigid in your eating to be successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Flexibility, and that's certainly what I write about in my book, and breaking my body image. So, great, Jenna. And some of the other things that you mentioned was that you wanted to start going to the gym again, and that you wanted to have more positive self-talk. How are you going with that?
I did pretty good at the gym last week, and the self-talk is getting better. I think I'm going to opt out of the gym this coming month because I adopted two rescue shelter dogs, and they need to be exercised and walked every day for like an hour outside. And I do swim a lot. And I do prefer being in the pool over the gym anyhow. The gym is really triggering to me, because it shows all the calories burned, and it shows how fast you're going, and I'm very competitive. I'm always trying to outdo what I did last time. So that can be a little bit of a slippery slope for me.
The gym, some gym atmospheres are really like that, Jenna, so I can definitely I can acknowledge that. sometimes it's a matter of finding a gym that doesn't have that sort of atmosphere or doesn't have those types of like that type of attitude. You know the attitude I'm talking about. We don't really need to go into it, but some gyms have an attitude of they're all about the material, physical, and they absolutely preach at home that once this material physical has been reached, that someone will have the ultimate in happiness and the ultimate in everything they could ever want in life. You know, what I always call it preaching the dream. Um, so yeah, I can definitely relate. If you maybe there's a gym in your different gyms in your area, maybe something that's low key, maybe a gym that has no mirrors. There's certainly gyms like that here where I am. They have, you know, a community spirit that's definitely not more materialism focused and more wellness focused. So maybe you can have a hunt around, find something that's a happy medium for you.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I've been a member at my gym on and off for like 3 years, and I haven't actually tried any of the other facilities. There's only a small handful because I am in a really remote, rural area, but I could definitely look into some of the other facilities and see what's going on there. Sure.
Okay, cool. Now, I mean, what I've just done there, Jenny, is I've gone through all the things that you said that you wanted out of these calls when we first initially caught up, which was your outcomes. So, um, I feel, I feel from your responses that, to be honest, that you've come a long way in a short period of time, which is not surprising because the way that we work with using NLP and hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, and these types of practices, they do work very quick. So do you have anything else to add on those outcomes, or to add on what I've gone through?
No, I'm feeling kind of like you are. Like I think we've had a lot of success in a very short window of time. I feel like I committed to doing this 10 weeks with you, and I'm not sure if I can stretch it out that long because like right away immediately you had such a big impact on my life that like it totally shifted how I was sleeping. Like I went from sleeping like 2 hours a night, 3 hours a night to being able to sleep like all night. And for the most part, I've like since talking to you about having had that one night when I had a really severe nightmare, I've had one nightmare since that in a month. And I was having them every night, and sometimes like if I could fall back to sleep I'd have another nightmare. So that was like a huge improvement. And then I was completely binging. Like I could start binging the minute I woke up and binge all day until nighttime. Or, you know, if I didn't binge all day, definitely after supper until I went to sleep, that was like a 4, 5, 6 hour period of time where I would just be stuffing and binging nonstop. And I'm not doing that anymore. So that is a great improvement too. So I really feel like we've accomplished what we set out to do. Is that how you're feeling too?
Yeah, Jenna, absolutely. So your sleeping has improved dramatically. Your as far as the eating goes, it's totally moderated. It's a lot more mindful, and you're making real conscious decisions now. And they appear to be very congruent. Your body image appears to have come an awful long way, and some of the next level shifts are just occurring day by day, week by week, month by month as you're progressing through to improve your own health of your body. So yeah, absolutely. I think that the initial outcomes that we set, I mean, I feel like we've achieved them. I know it's only call 4, but I feel like I feel like you've done very, very well, and you made those changes, which you should be really proud.
Thank you so much for all your help with making that adjustment and that shift in me, and I feel really good about it too. I feel really awesome, and like I said, like in the first because I've known you for a little bit longer than when we actually started these sessions, that in the like first month I knew you, I dropped like 4 dress sizes just because I had stopped like just compulsive stuffing and binging, and you know, and now like this past few weeks my weight is just plateaued. But that's really normal when you see a huge drop, like a 20-pound drop. Your body does take a little while to adjust before it starts losing again, and I'm pretty sure that the amount of food I've cut out of my diet, that I'm going to start seeing those weight loss goals again really soon. And those are going to start happening for me again.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll see additional changes, especially as, like I suggested, looking into working with someone who's already understands the body and how to make adjustments more towards health in the area that you're looking to make. So, yeah, excellent, Jenna. So next up, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go through and what we call designing your future. So what I'd like to do with you is in this area. I know that there's some other areas that you've been, that you've been working with other people with, other coaches or therapists or counselors or psychologists. I know you've been working with different people in different areas, which you shared. So I won't get into those areas, but as far as designing your future, as far as creating compelling goals, putting them in your future, and then driving towards those and actually being able to achieve them, that's what I'd like to move on to in the next phase of your, of your development, as far as what you're working on. Because a lot of the time when we set these goals, that's when some of our new challenges will come up. And when the new challenges come up, it's about being able to break through those challenges. So that's what I'd like to do from here, Jenna. How does that sort of sound, or how does that look or feel to you?
That feels awesome. Totally blew my mind. I didn't know that there was going to be a second phase to this process, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm pretty stoked.
Okay, cool. All right, so what we'll do during this session, we've got about 15-20 minutes or so left, because we did start a little bit late. How are you going for time?
Yeah,
I know it's late for you though, so we might need to wrap up early depending on how you're going.
I'm doing okay. I could do another 15 minutes for sure.
Okay, cool. All right, so the areas that we want to really there's several areas of life that as human beings we can really we can do very well with empowering. Those areas of life are health, spirituality, relationships, and finances, and job or business. I separate finances from job or business because there's plenty of people out there that make a lot of money that tend to spend it, so they never actually have money.
Okay.
So we won't be going into the business or finances area, but I just wanted to throw those out there. It's about 5 areas or so: health, spirituality, relationships, finances, business. So what I'd like to design for you, with you, is I'd like to design with you some health goals, and as far as spiritual goals, I think they're really important in your development, as far as continuing to create more congruency. So some spiritual goals as well, in whatever form they may be and whatever form they may come in. So how does that sound to you?
Yeah, that sounds great. I am loosely practicing Buddhism, is closest to my beliefs. So I do have a great appreciation for spirituality.
Okay, cool. All right. Just going to note that down there. All right. So, well, since we're on the spiritualism side, as far as Buddhism goes, what does Buddhism mean to you?
I like the karma aspect. I like the um rebirth, the cycle of life, that your energy keeps going and you're reborn and you live other lives, possibly as other creatures or beings or whatever. And I like the simplicity and like the Zen aspect, of Buddhism, the peacefulness and the mindfulness and the reflections, and that sort of stuff.
Okay, great. And I believe that Buddhism has quite a strong element of meditation.
Yeah, I meditate pretty regularly.
Okay, so how often do you meditate?
I was doing it like every day for half an hour to an hour. In the last, since I've been sleeping more and feeling better, I haven't been as devoted as I should be. So I should probably be getting back into that half an hour a day mark.
Ah, yeah, turning shoulds into musts then. Okay, so 30 minutes per day, and that would be your goal, to do 30 minutes of meditation per day?
Yeah, that would be a great goal.
Okay, cool. All right. um, okay, I'm just going to note that down. Is there anything else in this, as far as along the lines of Buddhism or spirituality? Is there anything else along this area that you would like to do more of, or that you would like to create more of?
Yeah, I should definitely educate myself more about the religion too, because I'm saying I'm like mostly practicing Buddhism, and those are my beliefs, but I still don't know all of the ins and outs. So I could be more dedicated to learning about it and learning about like the Dalai Lama and all those people and stuff like that. So I probably should dedicate like 15 minutes a day to researching this religion and making sure that that's actually what I'm trying to be.
Okay, great. All right, awesome. So 15 minutes per day researching the topic in the religion, the area, or the spirituality approach of Buddhism. So you'd like to spend 15 minutes per day? Would that be another goal of yours?
Yeah, I think that would be two awesome spiritual goals right there.
All right, great. So, and I'm sure that there's plenty of books and audios and material online and articles that I'm sure you could go through on this topic, right?
Oh, definitely. I probably do get in like 15 minutes already a day just from my Facebook news feed, but that it should be your only source of information in life. So I should go elsewhere and do some serious 15 minutes of research as well.
Okay, great. So, you know what, I mean, I personally find books to be really valuable because they're measurable, so you can literally open a book, you can read it for 15 minutes, get a lot of detailed information, and then close it, rather than scanning news feeds to find what you want for 15 minutes and then reading 5 minutes of info.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Okay, cool. So to make, because it's really important that we make this goal measurable. Um, so if you're reading 15 minutes per day, and the average book I think usually takes most people about 3 to 4 hours to read. How long does it take you to read like an average 300 to 400 word book?
If I'm really into the book, I can get through it in an evening, or 2 evenings. Roughly like you said, like 3 or 4 hours, definitely.
Okay, cool. So 3 or 4 hours for a book, and let's say that in we want to make a time frame for the amount of books that you would have read within a certain time period, and that time period could be 12 weeks, which is 3 months, or it could be 6 months. What sort of time period would you like to read X amount of books in?
I like smaller time period goals, like a month or two, 3 months at the max. I tend to I tend to be really sporadic, and I can lose focus really easily, and I can put things off and be a procrastinator. So I better make it 3 months at the most.
I'm just going to write down procrastinate. Yeah. Sometimes procrastination is a good thing. Sometimes it works for us. Sometimes not so much. There are times that it can work, so it is a useful attribute to actually have, rather than taking action all the time on everything. So 3 to 4 hour, 3 months. So, and if you were going to read it 15 minutes per day, do you want to get all technical about this, or do you just want to? Would you like to put down a certain amount of books that you believe that you could read in 1 month?
I could read, because I do have kids, and I have some other homework and my other therapies and stuff, and some other obligations. I could read 1 to 2 books a week. So I could average out probably six books a month for spirituality.
Okay, all right. Okay, well let's go with 6 books a month. If you feel like that's a realistic one for you.
Yeah, because not all of the books are going to be 300 pages. Some books I bet are going to be a little bit smaller. So yeah, I think I can manage 6 books. And if I only get in 5, it's better than if I only shoot for 4 and then I stall myself and don't get that 5th book in.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Yeah, and it's important to leave, like you said before, to leave room for other things, because you're going to have, you're going to have some health and wellness goals as well, which should probably be some material for you to read and get through, and things to do with that too.
Okay. Let me write this down. I just got to get my pen.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, so 6 books, and that would give us 18 books in 3 months.
Sounds good.
Cool. Okay, and 3 months time from, we don't have time to plant the goals yet, but we can create this goal now. So 3 months will put us, where are we? What are we, 31st of March today? Yes, okay. That would put us on the round by the time we get back into it. It would put us into around July. July the 1st to be when we would plant the goal in your future as far as what you had done. So that we'll just make it 1st of July. So just putting this together for you. So 1st of July is the date, because we want to your goal specific and measurable. And at 6 books, 18 books a month, 18, where's my calculator? 18 times 3.
No, not 6 books a month, not 18 books a month, Nick. That would be a book every day.
Yeah, that's full on. Where is my head? So, all right. So we got 18 books in the 3 months. 18 books read. All right, cool. And that's on. It's in the area of Buddhism, spirituality. Cool. All right. I'm just going to put that up there, and we will revisit it next time. And meditation. So 30 minutes per day. Let's just say that. Where'd my calculator go? Okay, so 30 minutes per day.
3.5 hours a week.
Okay, cool. 3.5 hours a week. I'm just jotting some things down here so that when we create your goal, when we plant these goals in your future, next week, we've already got a good place to start. Goal setting always takes a little bit longer, but the time that we take in the goal setting is worth it because it makes the goals a lot more likely to happen. So, all right. So we got 3.5 hours a week. So we would say that we can measure that by over the last 3 months. Last 3 months meditating 3.5 hours per week. Cool. All right, and that we'll also put that in the 1st of July.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's your spiritual goals. When we plant that in your future next week, it's going to read something like it is now 1st of July, 2014. It is a Tuesday. I think that's a Tuesday. Hang on a minute. Tuesday. Yeah, it's a Tuesday, and I've just finished meditating this week for 3.5 hours, and as I look around, I can see, and I can hear and I can feel this, and I know that I have achieved that over the last 3 months. So that's kind of how it reads to an extent, but we will fill it in with more detail next week. So, okay, now you're okay, cool. So now your health goals. So health goals wise, we want to have a way to measure your health changes, and I know that you said that you want to move towards a size 8. So your health is going to encompass your eating and your exercise. So just going to jot down eating, exercise. Cool. And it's not going to because instead of any other way to measure the progress, you're just going to measure the progress of the body change through your clothing. So it's it's not going to be measured through the mirror either. And also, you know how it works with clothing sizes, and that you can go to different stores and that the sizes can be all over the show.
Yeah, I think I can have like some stamina and like endurance goals because I know I have a good idea of where I'm at now. And I have a really good idea of what would be healthy for 3 months down the line, and what is actually attainable. Like I have an idea of how much swimming, like how many laps I'm able to do, or the level of my treading water and stuff like that, and where I can get that up to. And same goes with like even walking my dogs right now. Like walking for like 10 minutes is like I'm out of breath and I want to stop. So I know that like in 3 months' time I could probably be walking for an hour straight in the trails because the snow will be melted by then, and I'll be able to do it at a faster pace and so on like that. So I think we can have some goals that aren't just 100% clothing focused, because like you said, clothing it isn't an easy indicator to go on.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to jot those down. So I got stamina and endurance goals as well. And we can have clothing as like a really loose kind of term, in that that clothing, you'll notice clothing sizes overall change, but not a specific clothing size. Because yeah, it's like I was talking to my wife because she's in fashion at the moment, and she sees a size 8 in her store. Even in her store alone, they can sometimes you can go from a size 8 in her store in one brand and then go to a different brand, and that different brand could be a size 12 or a size 14 in the same kind of shorts or leggings or whatever. So that to me seems ridiculous, but that's just the way everything's produced in China or Italy or wherever, and it's just these big variances. So we'll put that in clothing as well, and we'll use that as a real kind of loosely termed goal with that one.
I do have a store here that is it's called Jean Warehouse, and their sizes do run a little bit big compared to other stores, but they're all their sizes in the store are the exact same size. So I can go into that store, try on where I'm at now, because I believe that the 16 I'm at now fits me into their clothing range, and then I can shoot for like a size 12 in 3 months. I don't think that's super unattainable. I think with being mindful about my eating and being exercise focused, that's not obsessive, I think I can get that pretty easily.
Okay. I want you to jot these down as well while we're kind of playing with them. We're making the goal date July the 1st, so you can have that on the top of the page anyway. And so just jot down size 12 under that as well. We're going to fill in all these goals with details on our next call, but I want you to jot these down so that they're in front of you anyway, so that they're kind of just sinking into your unconscious for the meantime, and then we'll plant them all, and then we'll start removing any challenges that come up as a result of planting them next week.
Okay, so I've got size 12, and then also I put increased stamina from swimming and from walking.
Okay, cool. Let's get specific on that now, because the size 12 is a specific size, and it's measurable, and I think it's attainable as well in that period of time. And then so stamina and endurance. So let's just break that down into a specific type of movement or activity. So you mentioned walking your dog in 10 minutes versus an hour. Now, I did want to say that that the type of activity that you do, it's important that I'll tell you what, after this call, when we get off this call, I will send you over some information as far as the health and fitness side to what I do, and I'll let you have a look at that and get your take on that, and then we can assess some of these things. Okay.
Okay, that sounds great. Keep in mind that now I'm walking in snow, which is kind of like walking on sand, and when there is no snow, I'm in the trails. So it's not just like walking on pavement with no incline or anything. It is a little bit more difficult.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. I certainly appreciate that. It's a little bit like walking on sand in the beach here. It's a little bit more difficult than walking on the pavement. So I guess on the note of exercise, there's a really fine line between doing too much and too little. And like I mentioned in my book, in Breaking My Body Image, I speak about the importance of intensity while doing the type of activity. It doesn't really matter what it is, but the importance of the amount of intensity that's put in, the amount of energy that's put into the movement or the activity during a short period of time, and then ejecting from it and not thinking about it and letting the body recover and heal itself after that intense type of activity, whatever it may be. So we'll certainly, I'll send you over some information so that you've got some info to have a look at there. And as far as the eating goes, that can be measurable, I think, by some expectations that you can potentially set for yourself as far as what you consider as like a balanced week of eating, let's say. So it wouldn't be commanded in the negative either. So I wouldn't be like, oh, I didn't fall off the wagon, or I didn't do this or do that. Instead, it's always commanded in the positive, because when we say things, we always command the unconscious for the positive. So, we can't say stuff like, I see these T-shirts all the time, and it's from a designer label here in Perth, and Australia, and they say stuff like "no excuses" or "don't give up," and they're in these like big block writing. And what's silly about it is that if you actually understand linguistics, then you understand that the unconscious mind does not read words like don't, shouldn't, can't, or anything like that. The unconscious mind only reads commands. So it reads give up, it reads excuses on these T-shirts. So if someone's wearing something that says give up and they watch themselves in the mirror constantly, their unconscious mind is reading the words on their T-shirt as they look at themselves in the mirror and do an exercise, is saying give up, give up, give up. It's like really ridiculous. Versus if I was going to be a T-shirt designer, which I never will be, I don't think, but hey, I might create a Spreadshirt account and do T-shirts, but but I would have stuff on T-shirts that would say stuff like take action now, and absolutely motivated and powerful, and some real powerful positive words. Like, accelerate your mind, or like, break through your limits, stuff like that. And these are very powerful.
Yeah, for sure. Those sound like good affirmations.
Yeah, exactly. So whenever we're creating goals, so the same with your eating, it wouldn't be like, oh, I didn't do this over the last week or over the last 3 months. You'd be like, it is now July the 1st, it's Tuesday. I'm so happy and grateful that I can look back over the last week and feel and listen to that I have had a week of balanced eating. I've had salads at every meal, and if I haven't had salads, I've been eating fresh vegetables. And I've also had, this each morning, which has helped to improve my health. I have given myself room to be flexible in when I'm out and about. But when I have been out and about, I've made choices that are balanced. So if I did want to eat something that was sweet or savory, that wouldn't usually be considered as real food, I was okay. My head was okay about it. I didn't think twice about it. I just felt good about it and continued on my day with eating more real foods. And that was kind of how my week played out. So do you notice, like, it's very much commanded in what you did versus what you didn't?
Yeah, I like that a lot better. It is way more like positive, and I like that. That's good. Good stuff.
Okay, cool. Well, we will shape that next week. I'm just going to write that as balanced, as like a balanced week of eating. Cool. All right. So when we come back next week, we're going to plant some goals in your future. We're going to use timeline therapy to do that. That's what we found to be the best way to create goals, because there's a real difference when asking the question, what separates people who achieve their goals versus those who don't. There's some real specific clues in there, and they're very measurable. Some people who set goals, as they get closer to their goal slides along their timeline further away. So it's like the carrot literally gets pushed away out of their reach as they move through time. Other people, when they plant their goal in their timeline, they don't do it using timeline therapy. They just set a goal. It's just what people unconsciously do in their head that they don't realize that they're doing. That's actually sabotaging their results. But other people who get results will plant it in their timeline, and it will be very solid, measurable, specific, attainable, and it will be really real for them, and really realistic, and it'll be timed, and it'll be planted in a very specific time of day, and it'll be created in such a way that is so compelling for the person that their mind literally rearranges all of their unconscious actions from the point of the goal setting from, say, July the 1st. Your mind will actually rearrange itself all the way back to the present now in order to accommodate your achievement of that goal. So big difference between people who achieve their goals and those who don't. So we'll be planting goals in your future next week, and we'll get a little bit more specific on those. So just for what you've written down on your piece of paper for now, just over the next week, just to kind of look at each day. 1st of July is the date. So by the 1st of July, I will have, and then list your goals. So read 18 books on Buddhism and or spirituality. And then over the last 3 months, I have been meditating 3.5 hours per week. And then your other ones are my exercise. I've improved my stamina and endurance, and we'll get specific about those over the coming week. My eating has been really balanced over the last week, and you don't have to fill that in. We don't have to get too detailed about that yet. And clothing. So my clothing size, I am now at a size 12 in this store. So be specific with the store, that one that you mentioned. I'm now size 12 in this store with this, piece of clothing. That's what I want you to jot down, have in front of you on the piece of paper, and we will revisit those next on our next call.
Okay, sounds great. I have those down, so that's awesome.
Awesome, Jenna. I know it's really late for you, so we'll wrap up and we'll revisit next week and start to get into the goal side of things, and we will go from there. And if you have any questions, just let me know, and I will send you through some information on the health and fitness side of things.
Okay, that sounds great. Thanks so much, Nick.
No worries, Jenna. Have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.